What is up, Adlers? Welcome back to another video. My name is Justin, aka JR Skater, and in this video we're going to be doing more Sinister Cup practice with the team that I have been posting, although I did make a little tiny change that I think is going to have a big result. So what I did was I swapped out Claydol and I put in Alolan Marowak, and I just think with Fire Spin, Alolan Marowak is a must-have on your team of 6, and I think Alolan Marowak paired together with Medicham can have some really good synergy, they can work together and really dominate teams. In this particular video, I do have Psycho Cut running on Medicham because I wanted to test it out because it does charge energy moves, or charges moves faster, and so I wanted to see if I could, win with it. After doing some practice battles with it, I don't like it quite as much as Counter. So in the next video, you'll see me using Counter for Medicham, but in this video, I do use Psycho Cut, but I am able to pull off some wins, and so it just kind of depends on how you farm with it, okay? And you got to be careful which Pokemon you try to farm and how to use your shields and all that, but you're going to see that in the videos. Another thing I want to mention is there is no multiverse match in this video, but there will be a really good one in the next video. So please, if you want to see that, hit that subscribe button and just hit the bell if you want to get notified for the next video, because it was really awesome. I really liked how it turned out. But at the end of this video, I'm going to ask you a trivia question that'll help you just get your mind thinking about moves and how it affects things, and I really think it'll sink in better by doing it as a little trivia game. And the answer for that trivia question will be in the beginning of the next video, so stay tuned for that, and let's just get into the battles. So my first best of 3, I was doing an open kind of practice. The person, shout out to Arrows, I think you pronounce his name, Arrows. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, but shout out to you. He's on my remote Discord where we do remote tournaments together. He was just practicing with whatever, so he didn't show me his team, and so my strategy would have changed a little bit if I knew his team of 6. But in the last, I am going to show some bloopers in the middle of the video. A little funny thing happened where I totally messed up, and you'll see. And then the last best of 3, I actually win that one, so you can see how I won that one and what my thought process was. And let's just get into it. So I'm going to hit play here. And you can see my team there on the left. I don't know his team on the right. So my first lineup, I'm just using Drifloon, Medicham, and Steelix. Again, I'm using Psycho Cut on Medicham. So let's just see how we do here. In the first round, I do lose this round. And the mistake that I made was not knowing my typing. So Gallade specifically, you have to know that it's exact same type as Medicham. They're exactly the same. They're fighting Psychic. They have 3 weaknesses. Flying, Fairy, and Ghost. Those are the 3 weaknesses. Their only resistances are Fighting and Psychic. Everything else is neutral. Okay, so my mistake here, right now I swapped into Steelix, thinking it might have been a safe switch in, but again, I don't know what his team was, so it could have been good, it could have been bad. But here's the matchup, Steelix versus Gallade, and my mistake was, I actually got lucky here. I baited his shield with Crunch, but look at my mistake. Here it is right here. I went for Crunch again, and since Gallade is neutral to Dark and Ground, Earthquake was the move to use there, and had I used it, I would have knocked him out, and he probably wouldn't be doing these Leaf Blades against me. So, learn from that mistake, guys. When Pokemon are neutral to attacks, just go for the Earthquake, like with Poliwrath, Medicham, with Gallade. Pokemon that are neutral to Ground, just go for the Earthquake if you can. I think it'll help you get better results. So I'm going to pretty much lose this match here. He has Drifloon there. I bring in my Drifloon. I was just playing bad at this point. So he hits me with a Shadow Ball. And then here's another mistake. I went for the Power-Up Punch. I probably should have just done Psychic, and I probably would have knocked it out. So you see here, I just take the Shadow Ball because I'm out of shields. And so we lose that match. So there was a lot of mistakes I made there. But the main takeaway from that one was Steelix versus Gallade. Know your typings and which attacks will do more damage. So Earthquake was the one to do there. Okay, so round 2. Okay, so we're against Gallade again. Pretty even matchup there. Now we go against Bronzong, and I'm not really too good against that one with Medicham, so I switch into Poliwrath. And then I decide just to take this hit because I didn't know what it was going to shoot me at with, and it totally had a super effective move. So now I learned my lesson. I shield this time. And then I throw a Power-Up Punch because I want to power up the bubbles. It definitely makes it more like a stronger opponent when you can get a powered up bubbles going off. So I go for the Ice Punch to try to knock it out or try to do more damage to it. So I was successful there. And then I have a little bit of energy left, so I throw another Power-Up Punch. That's the thing about Bronzong, because it's using Confusion, it does charge a little bit slower, so you are able to get those moves off. So here's another matchup with Gallade. You gotta watch out for Gallade. Steelix versus Gallade rematch. What do I decide to do here? Well, I thought he was going for Leaf Blade, so I didn't shield. And then he hits me with a close combat. So I'm just, man, Gallade just has my number in this matchup. My Steelix is just not performing well. So yeah, that was just awful all around. But you know, you can't know what their moves are until they do them. So I was expecting a Leaf Blade, and he hit me with a close combat, and there you go. So here we go with Medicham again. Here's the thing that with Medicham Psycho Cut, okay? Psycho Cut Medicham is almost useless against Steel types, and that is the reason why I don't like Psycho Cut anymore. I love how it charges moves. It's a little bit faster than counter. So it is, you know, you could farm up a lot of energy. You'll see me do that in some of these matches, but overall, against the Steel types, you're pretty useless, and I don't think it's a better move. I think counter is what you want to use just to give you broader coverage with the meta, especially with the Steel types. Okay, so I'm using Sidekick here, and in this last match, I decide to go all in on Medicham because he swapped in with the Drifblim, which actually can take he'll take a lot of damage if you hit it with Psychic. And so I decide, you know, screw it. I'm just gonna use my shields, farm up as much energy as possible, and see how much damage I can do with Medicham. So you see there, I hit Drifblim with a Psychic, totally devastating it. I decide to shield again, because at this point I don't care. I just want to see how much damage I could do with a powered up, fully energized Medicham. We go against Marowak, so again, use Psychic. Don't use fighting moves, and takes a huge chunk. And this is when you know you're playing well with Medicham, when you have a ghost attacker like Alolan Marowak having to burn shields just to win the matchup. That normally doesn't happen, so if you farm properly, you can do damage with Medicham, even with Psycho Cut, and it can hold its own in this meta. I still like Medicham. I'm getting better with it, and I'm seeing better results. So yeah, so here we go. I'm probably going to get hit with Shadow Ball here. GG for me. But I do have Lucario, and luckily Power-Up Punch doesn't do a whole lot of damage, even though it is super effective. But shields are down, so I'm able to get the Shadow Ball off, and we finally win a match and avoid some embarrassment. So, anyways, yeah. So just remember the Steelix versus Gallade matchup. That's what you should be taking away from this one. Also, you know, use Psychic, and I'm going to talk about Psychic again with Medicham. So anyways, these two matches are kind of bloopers for me. We had a little bit of an issue with this one, and then the second match I really messed up, and I'll show you what I did. But here I swap into Steelix. Again, I should have used Earthquake against this Claydol. It was dumb of me for trying to go to like too many crunches. If you can bait a shield with Crunch, that's awesome. But at some point you need to go for the Earthquake, because if they don't shield it, you can devastate them and almost knock them out, you know, if you do knock them out. So that'd be like, that's the prime scenario that you want. So here, we burn both of his shields, I believe. And he hits me with Earth Power. There's no point in shielding at this point. And I have Alolan Marowak. This is where we kind of lag. So I was kind of like, do you want to start? I was talking to the guy at the time, Ross. As you can see his team there on the right, by the way. Sorry, I forgot to mention it. You can see his line of 6. He's got the Thunder Punch Raichu, which is very scary. And he's using Primate. This is my first time going against Primate. But this matchup, I definitely lose. And when he switched in that Marowak, I probably should have counted his moves better. I shielded and I wasn't paying attention. But again, this was kind of a weird matchup. We weren't really trying too much. So I lose that one. Here we go. I have Bastiodon against my Medicham. And again, I'm using Psycho Cut, so it's kind of hard to do a lot of damage to it. And then I go for a Power-Up Punch. Why are you doing that, Justin? You're an idiot. Okay, so like, you should be doing Psychic all the time. There's if you have Psycho Cut, yeah, it's hard to win those matches, and you don't want to be throwing Power-Up Punch. You very rarely want to throw a Power-Up Punch. Psychic is the move to go with. So anyways, yeah, here's the second matchup. This is the funny one. So when I do a screen recording, right, there's a button on the screen that, you know, you can press record, you can press stop, and you can move the button around the screen, whatever which way. So in this matchup, I am trying to do a charge move, and I accidentally press the button, and I'm moving the button around the screen, and not doing anything, so you'll see what happens. It's right after this one. So we have Drifblim leading with a Thunder Punch, and I was stupid to swap out of there, I think. I don't know if I led with Drifblim or not. So anyways, this is a blooper matchup anyways. What I want you to look at, here you can note that Drifblim versus Primate, the Ghost move does do a lot of damage to it. So Primate is good as a fighter, but it is a little more squishy in my opinion. I don't think it's the best fighter. Cross Chop is a good move, so if you have a Legacy Cross Chop, you can fight with it. You can use Night Slash and Cross Chop and do some damage, but you're not as tanky as some of the other ones. And so I'm not, even if I had a Cross Chop Primate, I don't think I'd be using it. If I did, I would swap it out maybe for Lucario. I think I would sub it in. There you see. So if you want to rewind back there, you can see I totally missed the bubbles on that one. So that was just redonkulous. And then, you know, I haven't practiced a lot with the Alolan Raichu. It's just really spammy, so it kind of freaks me out. I need to learn my typings better with that one because, yeah, there was an instance. Well, actually, this will be in the next video, you'll see, so I don't want to spoil it. But yeah, Alolan Raichu, don't be too scared of it, but just know that it can charge moves quick. Five attacks, I believe it can charge Grass Knot and Wild Charge at the same time, so yeah, you gotta really be careful with that one. So we lose that one. Okay. So that was just a blooper. I thought that was funny. If you go back and look at the Psychic, I lost like half the bubbles, and we only got a great attack on that. So that could have changed the matchup had I hit an excellent throw, which is fairly easy to do with Psychic. But anyways, okay, here we go. This is the best of 3 where I actually do well. So here we lead with Poliwrath versus Primate. And I think it's a pretty even matchup here. I'm usually not going to swap out in this case. I'm just gonna battle it out. I'll go for a Power-Up Punch. And you can see it does... Oh, you know, Power Punch sucks, but it does okay damage. I go for the Ice Punch here, which if I land it, it'll be nice, but he shields. And so I go in with Drifblim, which does a lot of damage to Primate, believe it or not. Even Ominous Wind. I just throw always Ominous Wind against Primate, because I try to get the buff, and if it lands, it does a good amount of damage. So I have some energy stored up, but he brings in Bastiodon, so that's obviously not a good matchup. He does a Savage Switch here, immediately switches. So that was a really good move on his part. Tries to hit me with a Shadow Ball. I dodge, which was a good dodge. Or not dodge, shield. Sorry, I don't know why I said that. And then he shields. So at this point, I'm out of shields. So I'm at the mercy of his guy. And he hits me with a Bone Club, which I thought was going to KO me. I was expecting Shadow Ball. But yeah, so again, no shields. I need to knock him out here to win. And now I'm in a pretty losing matchup. Especially because Bastiodon has Stone Edge. So really, I think there's not much I could do in this particular matchup. So I'm not going to dwell on this one too much. But let's see round 2, because we actually pull out a win here. I lead with Drifblim, Medicham, and I put Marowak together. I like the Medicham-Marowak duo, so you'll often see me running both of those at the same time. But, you know, sometimes it's good to switch it up. You don't want it to be too predictable. So here we go. A good lead, finally. Drifblim versus Claydol. Claydol is weak to Ghost, so we can just... I like to just spam Ominous Wind. That's what I do against Claydol. And now, even though he swaps in Primate, I'm just going to keep going, because I feel like if he... See how he didn't shield there? He took a big hit. And so I can shield, store up some more energy, and if he lets this one go, he'll most likely get KO'd. So now I'm putting the pressure back on him, whether he wants to shield or not. So he decides to shield, burns his first shield there. And the one I am worried about is Night Slash. You can see it is super effective, but I knew I could tank it, and so I didn't shield. Now here I'm going for the buff. At this point, I wrote off Drifblim as I don't need him anymore. I'm trying to get a buff, that'd be cool, but if not, it's okay. So I switch into Marowak, who's good against Bastiodon because of the fire and like the ground, but he swaps out. But I can still do damage to Claydol, so I'm not worried. I just have to shield the ground move, so I do shield correctly there. And then I go for the Bone Club, because I believe I can knock it out. Yep. Okay, then he goes into Bastiodon, and I just go for the Bone Club. It's double super effective, even though it's Bone Club. So it does good chip damage to it, we'll just say that. It does good chip damage for being Bone Club. And then I go in with Drifblim, and I really don't know what I'm doing at this point, but this match is pretty much a wrap at this point, because I have a fully HP Medicham in the back. So there's really nothing he can do here. I was just throwing Drifblim in just for the hell of it. So yeah, good game on that one. We take round 2. So we'll just finish him up with a little PUP here. And then Yeah, we take that one. Awesome. Finally getting some momentum. Alright, so round 3 I decided to go with Marowak as a lead this time. PV Poke ranks Marowak as the best lead for this cup, so you might see a lot of people leading with Marowak, so just something to keep in mind. So there you go, you see my line of 3 there. Marowak versus Primate. This is a pretty good matchup, I believe, for me, but except for I gotta watch out for Night Slash. So you see me shielding here because I was a little worried about that. But now I got some energy going, so I'm not afraid to stay in with Marowak. So he swaps out, and now I go in for the kill with Shadow Ball. I'm either going to knock him out or I'm going to burn a shield. Either way, I feel like it's a win-win. So I take my energy advantage and I use it. I think he might have baited me there. I forgot, I didn't see that just now, but I go in for one more Shadow Ball, and he's out of shields. So I'm in a very good spot now. So I'm just going to go ahead and do some chip damage with Bone Club. And then at this point, I gotta go with Medicham, but I'm definitely gonna use the farming as much as I can. So I do that. I'm powered up now. So I'm gonna take a Night Slash, and then I'm gonna go for the Psychic, because Psychic that's powered up, you pretty much want to use that against everything. Okay, it doesn't really do much damage to anything. Power Up Punch doesn't do much damage to anything else. So if you got the energy and you're powered up even just once, I like to throw Psychic as my default move. It just does a lot of damage to everything. Except for the steel types, obviously, but to everything else. Okay, and here it's actually, I was really confident at this point, and then I realized that this match was a lot closer than I thought. So he hits me with a Stone Edge. I was able to tank it only because I had full health, and then to add insult to injury, we get the buff at the end, and then we win that one. So, there you go. Very good battles there. Shout out again to Arrows and Ross123123. Really enjoyed the battles, and don't forget to tune in next time. I'm going to do a multiverse matchup, and the trivia question for today is, which steel type will take the biggest hit against a Psychic from Medicham? Okay, if you get into a situation where you're stuck with Medicham, but you have energy and a steel type comes in, you need to do damage. This is just a trivia question. Which steel type will take the biggest hit from a Psychic? And I'll have that answer for you in the next video. So if you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Just to sum up, Steelix versus Gallade, use that Earthquake. Pretty much use Earthquake to anything that's neutral to it. So like Claydol, Poliwrath, Gallade, in Medicham, use Earthquake if you can to get the most damage. Also with Medicham, use Psychic as much as possible, unless you're going against maybe a Steel type, then you can afford to do a Power-Up Punch. But other than that, you want to be using Psychic for everything. So those are the two big takeaways that I got from these practices. And then finally with Marowak, try to get into a habit of counting its moves, because he's very baitable. He can bait you really easily, especially if it has Hex. And so that's why Marowak is so scary in this cup. So that's why I'm putting it on my team, because I really like putting the pressure on the opponent. So again, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one.